Three, two,
I'm ready.
1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am your host, and well, one of your hosts, because we are going on about 3 films directed by the same director that have been brought to us by our good friend Crow. So, Crow, why don't you tell us about the little man that we are going to go on and talk about?
Well, this is Ant-Man, and the second movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the third movie is the Wasp: Quantumania. So we're going to discuss the trilogy. If you haven't seen Ant-Man yet, what are you waiting for? um, they're great movies. They star Paul Rudd and some other. I apologize. I'm not. I did not pull up these yet.
Well, Michael Douglas also plays in here.
Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Eventually, Michelle Pfeiffer shows up, and I forgot the actress's name who plays the Wasp, but
Evangeline Lilly.
Wow,
yeah.
she's old. I mean, obviously she's getting older, but I didn't recognize her.
Yeah, I wouldn't have recognized her either, especially in the third movie. I was shocked how much she had aged. Like the first time I paid attention to her as an actress was in The Hobbit, where she played Toriel, and I know many Lord of the Rings fans will say this is blasphemy, but I really liked her character in The Hobbit. Yeah, now when I saw her in this movie, I was like, "What is this? My Toriel? No way!"
I didn't even realize she was in the Hobbit either. Wow, I'm really behind on her. I always just like her acting and everything. It's just I don't know. She changed so much. I didn't even realize it was her. She's still an awesome actress.
Oh yeah, to me personally, she looked the best in the second movie.
Some people just look older and they just look like an older version of themselves, and other people just look so different that sometimes you can't tell it's them.
Yeah.
But she's still an incredible actress, and I mean, she still looks good. She doesn't look like herself. She doesn't look like she did. To me. So yeah. But the Hobbit, like I said, I don't remember her character, but I'm sure it was awesome because she was a great actress, and I don't know anyone who would think otherwise. But whatever. There's always haters around. So, but anyways, back to Ant-Man. We start off with the first movie. We have Hank Pym has created a costume that can shrink the person wearing it, and he actually used to fight crime with this costume, and he had developed the Pym particles, and that's what he used to actually shrink himself, and also he can also make himself grow big as well. Um, yeah, so it was called Ant-Man. He dropped the tiny size of an ant, as well as he learned to control ants. Not sure if that part is in the comics or it was just made up for the movies. I have never read an Ant-Man comic, so I don't know how it could afford this comic, but I really loved the movie.
Ooh, a Marvel lover like yourself never read the Ant-Man comics. Isn't that unforgivable?
Actually, I haven't read a lot of the Marvel comics or DC because I couldn't afford them as a kid. You know, those
uh,
have no
uh,
club,
uh,
so
I get it. I was joking.
Oh, I know. I'm just stating like why I haven't read the movies, read the movies, read the comics, and some comics I've read that I wish I hadn't. Like secret, the secret. What was that? Secret something. Was supposed to be going to this great storylines and everything, and it was god awful. We all were like bored to tears. Where Spider-Man first symbiote suit. Um, even that was boring, but we won't go into that right now. Yeah. So with Ant-Man, um, he's has the power because ants are really strong. They can lift 10 times stronger than their own bodies, and so he wanted to make himself proportionate strength of having 10 times more strength than him. Basically, how weak Superman. Well, I say weak because Superman is way stronger, but Superman started out 10 times stronger than a normal human. Now he's like 1,000 times stronger, but when Superman started out. And I know Superman is DC, but DC's better. Anyway,
I agree.
yeah, well, I'm sure there's people out there going, yeah, hell yeah, and other people going, what the hell did you say? I'm going to kick it. You know, like, whatever. I love Marvel. Don't get me wrong. I just love DC. But
Yeah.
I,
Okay, sorry if I interrupted.
yeah, you keep doing that, but it's okay.
Don't we all do that?
We
Hey,
do.
when we first started this podcast, I told you in the very beginning that in order to get a word in edgewise, you have to interrupt. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to be rude.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I interrupt other people, and as I apologize. I'm so used to interrupting people on my podcast that I just get used to it. I do my best not to interrupt people in other things other than the podcast.
I did want to say something. Paul Rudd actually played Darren in the Sausage Party movie.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, Paul. He's
which
been.
was one that we talked about.
He has been in it.
Oh, sausage party.
Really enjoyed.
Yes.
When I first heard about what this Ant-Man they were doing, I was kind of mad because I'm like, who the hell is this crook guy? Why is he Ant-Man? Hank Pym is Ant-Man. I've been playing a Facebook Marvel game and I've been using Ant-Man a lot in the game and really enjoyed the character. And all of a sudden they were coming up with to me this other Ant-Man who I didn't even know who he was, and he was some kind of thief. And I didn't like that idea. I'm a type of person that usually like the originals. The original characters, like the original Spider-Man is my favorite. You know, I just normally, but then again, Barry Allen is not the original Flash technically, but he's still my favorite. So it just I tend to like originals or the most popular ones, but yeah. Yeah, I got turned around on that. I really enjoyed this story, and Paul Rudd didn't hurt. He was a great actor. He's you know, I can't think of a movie he was in that I didn't like. So or acting. But so that's what Ant-Man is about. Did we say who the director was? I know I didn't look
The
it up.
director is Peyton Reed.
Okay, Peyton Reed. Thank you for your assistance, Dave.
And he's the director of all three, so which makes it easier.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they put different directors behind some of these sequels, and it's like, why? Then it's a different direction, you know.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, Star Wars was done by different directors. The original, the first three, so it can work easily. As long as they all follow the same type of direction as directors, it works out good. But then work out like the sequels did, and Ryan Johnson can totally screw up the entire thing. But we won't talk about Star Wars. So it can work as long as they're all on the same page. But I mean, we don't know why the second movie was done different or whatever. But you know, it happens. So, anyways, let's go to first impressions. And since we haven't heard from us squawks from her. Let's start with Tammy.
A squat.
Well, I think David and I watched these once before, so it's
Yep.
not my first time. Um, it's not really my thing, but they were fun to watch. I mean, I like it that there's a little bit of everything. You got your comedy and you got your heroes and you got your drama and you got your fighting. There's a little bit of everything in them, which makes them fun to watch. It's interesting. All the different gadgets are fun, and the different worlds. It's it was fun. It was more fun than I thought it was gonna be. I remember the first time we watched it, and he was telling me about it. I'm like, really, huh?
That's a
But it ended up being more fun than I thought it would be.
good. I'm glad you got some value out of the movie and you enjoyed it despite it not being your genre. So that's all we can hope for, right?
Hmm.
And what about you, Mr. Boris?
Yeah, in my case, I know it's maybe a shame, but it was the first time I watched these movies, and they were really good. Uh, Maybe I would say since I saw them all kind of okay, not at once, but in a short period of time, all the three, you can really feel how the first one I would say was maybe not the best because they back in 2015 when they made the first one there wasn't all the woke propaganda and that bullshit which can kind of be felt somewhat in the second and even more in the third movie which was kind of annoying but aside from that, they were still pretty good. There was a lot of good humor, enough suspense, some good spoodaus. Maybe one issue I have with it is that some things cannot be fully understood without knowing everything else from the MCU.
I was gonna say,
But so, sorry, what?
I was gonna say the same thing. I'm thinking, for Philip is probably gonna get a little bit lost watching this because it doesn't explain some of the backstory of like why did all of a sudden his daughter grow up 5 years and everything. Now anyone who's watched all the Marvel
Oh,
know why.
uh,
Well, yeah, because he
actually,
first
the
started out in Captain America: Civil War,
uh,
and he was also in uh, the Avengers: Endgame.
Yeah,
So
uh,
when Thanos snapped his fingers and basically got rid of half the world.
uh,
Ant-Man was actually stuck in the quantum world during that happened, so he never aged because he was in the world.
but in that case, how did Janet age in the quantum world?
She was there forever. She was there for
Uh,
like years or something.
yeah, she was there
uh,
for years, even though it
uh,
takes longer for people to age in the quantum world. She was there long enough
I
that she did
think
age.
I was thinking the same thing. I think she aged a little too much. Um, but you know,
yeah, I would say that she aged as if she hadn't even been there.
yeah. So
I thought he was there for 30 years though.
40. Yeah, but Hank said you're not supposed to age at all there.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually, that's one part that confused me. He said the quantum realm is a place where the known principles of time and space become irrelevant, something like that. So I
So,
was like,
well,
how is aging even possible?
he could be wrong. Obviously, I think it might be. I think he was wrong. They just didn't correct that he was wrong. Uh, age, but you age a lot slower, kind of like Superman ages, or whatever. It's just ages a lot slower. So where Ant-Man was there for like 5 years, he didn't really age much at all and are not noticeable, whereas she was there for like 30, 40 years and it was showing because she was there for longer. Or maybe the longer you're there, the more it kind of catches up to you or something. I don't know. Yeah, but they just didn't explain it because they figured that no one would notice, but then they forgot we're nerds, and that's what nerds is, noticing things. But it was still enjoyable. Even you can pick apart the movie, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you start picking apart the movies, then and think they're no good because you can pick them apart, then nothing is good. Because every movie can be picked apart to throw.
True.
So Paul Rudd plays a character that he's just getting out of jail, right? In the first film.
Yeah. We'll get into that when we start talking about the story. Were you done, Philip, with your first impression?
I think so.
All right, Dave.
Well, I've followed along with the Marvel universe, maybe not as diehard as some people, but I have kept up with the Marvel universe. In fact, I think the last one that I just recently saw was the Blue Beetle, which has something to do with the DC universe, but it's still kind of connected in some way, shape, or form because it's a superhero film. But because the DC universe has always been in competition with the Marvel universe.
Yes, they're in competition, but they're nothing like.
Okay. I know, but in any case, moving forwards, I know. Oh, the only one that I have not seen yet is the Marvels, which is the latest one that has come out.
Black Panther
of the Captain Marvel universe. But I enjoyed this franchise. Films and TV shows have been doing this small, big stuff for a long, long time. I mean, they even did so back in the 50s with like Attack of the Puppet People or films like I think there was The Incredible Shrinking Man and The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yep.
Then later in the 80s was the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids trilogy, which spanned into a TV series. You had it with a 70s show called Land of the Giants, which was an Irwin Allen production. I mean, it's not new. It's nothing new. But it has just gotten better with some CGI moments. I mean, they're able to do it quicker. And I love the fact that they're able to take a bunch of Hot Wheels cars and just press a button and zoom, you've got a car. It's fantastic. I mean, the humor it gets funnier as the films go on. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I saw Paul Rudd in Wet Hot American Summer back in the day, which was a 2000s film, and it was a very small role, but he didn't really get well known for that role. It was not like. It wasn't until he became the Ant-Man in this movie that suddenly he became star power.
Paul Rudd's been a name long before Ant-Man.
Well, I started paying attention to him with Ant-Man.
Maybe some people were like you, but all that. So there's many people like me who've known Paul Rudd for a long time.
But that being said, I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed Michael Douglas in the role. of his almost like father-like figure, which whenever he has something to say quit paying attention to my daughter. I love it. Can we get going here? But in any case, I love the fact that ants are their friends and they're able to communicate with them on some subatomic level and use them to their ability. So throughout the films, I enjoy the different characters. I enjoy seeing the different possibilities that they can work with, and I know that the last film, it wasn't it had mixed reviews at the time. It was not a box office success. In fact, according to reality, it was a failure at the box office. It was, and yeah, people didn't like it. Marvel people didn't like it.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense because I like it, but and I know that you like it, but not everyone liked it.
I like that others don't, but just doesn't make sense.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, you got the whole world.
No. I asked for Ant-Man, not Ant-Man 3, to jackasses. I hate when they do that.
The Ant-Man, no. Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, both of those were box office successes. The third one, Quantum was not well received. That's what I was saying. What? What did you say?
It made $105 million on its debut.
Well, yeah, Ant-Man was a success. I'm saying about 3. 3 was not a success.
Sorry, they gave me 3 again. I asked for 1, they gave me 3. That was 3.
Well, regardless, I enjoyed the trilogy. I hope that there might be more in this. Like they gave Thor a fourth one, which was kind of fun, and I know that there's going to be another Captain America in 2025, which might involve the Ant-Man, might not. We don't know, but I enjoyed the trilogy. What about you, Kroll?
Yeah, I love the trilogy, and I just wanted to say that in the comics in 1962, because we were talking about shrinking and everything that they were doing in the TV shows and stuff. But yeah, Ant-Man came out in the comics in 1962. Coincidentally enough, my brother was born in 1967, so it came out shortly after the comic did. And I'm sure at that point, I don't know if he was a fan or not, if he became a fan, but he ended up growing up to play the Ant-Man. So that's just cool facts, I think. Yeah, and Paul Rudd, just to clarify of movies he's been in, Clueless in 1995, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Romeo and Juliet, which movie sucked, but he was good in it. Wet Hot American Summer, Anchorman, Legend of Ron Burgundy, 4-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, I Love You Man, This Is 40, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah, so he's been in quite a lot of movies. And that was just to name a few. He's been in others as well. But anyways, I'll give you a start in something called The Shrink Next Door as well, a TV show. So he's been in a TV show as well too. But yeah, I love this is my second time watching the Ant-Man movie, the second time watching Ant-Man and Wasp, and the first time watching Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The whole reason we did this is I actually wanted to do the third movie, but we didn't want to start with the third movie, so we ended up doing all three movies. So yay! I personally like doing trilogies and things like that. I mean, hell, I probably would do the whole Marvel universe, but others here would not want to do that much many movies. And I don't know about Dave, but I know Boris and Tammy would be like, no. But
Okay, at least I wouldn't be the only one. That's
quite
a
sure. Speak for Tammy, but I'm quite sure that she would not want to sit through the entire Marvel universe and in a week or whatever.
Well,
Oh
we
my.
watched a bunch of them.
Right, but
I own some.
in all of them.
So
Well,
We're talking about the Incredible Hulk, the Captain America's Thor, Spider-Man.
I like Spider-Man.
wouldn't all of them be a little too much even for you, Crow?
Oh, we could probably do the original three Spider-Man.
I don't like Spider-Man.
Oh, you don't like Spider-Man?
Original. I'm talking about the Marvel Spider-Man. Don't get them confused.
What Spider-Man is there other than the Marvel one?
Oh, there's the Amazing Spider-Man, and then there's Spider-Man,
When I say not
Is,
the Marvel,
the
I mean
Tobey Maguire.
Marvel.
isn't that from Marvel too?
Yeah, they're all see
Ugh,
in the 2000s. What?
I'm trying to tell him, and you're talking over me.
Okay, sorry.
Marvel licensed Spider-Man to Sony, the movies, so they have the property rights to it. Sony allowed Marvel to use Spider-Man in the MCU, so those are known as the Marvel Spider-Man. Technically, Marvel is the owner of Spider-Man, but not from movies because they sold Sony the rights.
Well, and Sony sold the rights to Disney. So,
Sony never owned the rights to Disney.
And that was a big
Disney is in charge of the Marvel universe now. So they bought out Marvel.
Sony didn't own Marvel. Sony only owned Fantastic Four. No, I'm sorry, Fox was Fantastic Four. Sony owned Spider-Man. That's it. And the Spider-Man universe. So all those movies that you see from the Spider-Man universe is from Sony.
Yep, the Tobey Maguire ones, which I thought were actually pretty good.
Tobey Maguire are my favorite. I don't know. I really like the new ones too. I mean, not that I didn't like the Andrew Garfield. He just didn't look like Peter Parker. But yes, there's the Tobey Maguire trilogy, which actually should have had another movie, but they decided to reboot it instead and do the Andrew Garfield ones. And those are only two because the second one bombed so bad.
No, that was more because Andrew Garfield did something at a drunk ass party, and
the second movie bombed, and so that's why they didn't do another one. I like it personally, but most people didn't. Just like most people didn't like Spider-Man 3 from Tobey Maguire. But people are jackasses, so.
Good.
But anyway, so we had two of those, and then we had the three Marvel versions that's part of you. And the third one actually brought together Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and that was fucking awesome. That is my favorite Spider-Man altogether because it has all of them.
Yeah, in a way, I did find that interesting too. Although at the same time, when I think what Spider-Man used to be, what the story revolved around, the whole thing of parallel universes and stuff, it's a bit out of character for the story the way it originally was. But okay.
No, they were doing the Spider-Man is only was part of the MCU. The whole entire MCU was doing that storyline, so it was just incorporating Spider-Man into it, and I think they did a great job of incorporating it. I mean, if you think about it, it was actually Peter Parker's fault that the whole thing started the way they did it, because he wanted all of these other people to forget that he was Spider-Man, and he kept talking while Doctor Strange was trying to cast a spell, and he messed up the spell. Really feels like something. He was known to talk and to be funny, but he was still a kid, and kids screw up. Even if Spider-Man is one of the best Marvel characters ever, in my humble opinion. Well, anyways, let's get to the plot of the. We'll do the first one first, and just go on. I'll briefly do the movie, so this don't take 3 hours. But
Yeah.
Paul Rudd he's coming and getting out of jail because he decided to stick it to the man. He got fired, and so he took all the money that the company had been stealing from people, and as insurance companies tend to do sometimes, and you know, he gave it back to the people, and of course, so some people hailed him as a hero, and unfortunately, the law could not, and he was in prison for this, and he finally got out, and we see him. He goes to his daughter's birthday party, and immediately is told he shouldn't be there, and blah blah blah. His ex-wife was an ex-wife, just not wanting him around the kid, and you kind of gotta feel bad for him. He just wants to see his daughter, and of course, it doesn't help that she married a cop, which obviously at first he was kind of, he turned around. I ended up liking him, but at first he was just kind of a dick, in my opinion.
Yeah. In the end of the first movie, he redeemed himself, but to a certain point in the movie, I was kind of hoping he would get killed as some collateral damage.
I never hoped he would be killed. That's a little bit overboard, in my opinion. But
Well,
okay.
it at that point, I didn't know Scott would get paired up with Hope, so I thought this would be a way for him to get back with his wife and daughter.
Well, I never wanted him back with his wife because she had moved on. She was happy. He didn't really want to be back with her. He just wanted to be in his daughter's life. You know, so don't know what happened between them. They never told us, and we don't need.
Unfortunately, if you've been in jail at all of any kind, jobs don't look at you in favorable terms.
Yeah, that part yet. I was about to, but I got interrupted. But yeah, so he was just trying to see his daughter, and then she said, "Well, get a job, get your own place, blah blah blah." And yes, first he tries to get a job at Baskin Robbins. Well, he gets a job there, and then of course they find out because Baskin Robbins always finds out. I guess this is a tagline that they have. I don't know, but it was said a couple times in the movie. So the guy's like, "Personally, I think you're a hero." They go, "Oh, good, so I'm not fired." "Oh no, I have to fire you. You're the best." And he's all acting like you could if you go and steal a smoothie, I'll look the other way, like that. I was kind of a jackass, but you know, yeah, it is hard to get a job, and even though I honestly I think I agree with what he did, and again, it's against the law, and I'm not saying people should do against the law, but I think that his ex should have looked upon him a little bit differently than she did. Yes, he was in jail, but look about why he was in jail. But she seemed to just be like, "You did bad, and that's it." I mean,
Yeah, she was a bitch.
you admit when she told her daughter that her daddy's not a bad man, he just did something bad. And the way she explained that,
Yeah, fucking hypocrite. Your dad is not a bad man, but I won't let you see him, bitch.
no, 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 she's not a hypocrite. She did right with her daughter. She did right telling her daughter that. And she did eventually let him see her. So.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would have done what Paul did or his character. Um,
If I
uh,
could,
to that extent, I guess it would have to be. I would have to know the circumstances. It sounds like he was trying to be a Robin Hood of sorts to certain people because he was able
Uh,
to steal something from
but
the most
stealing
heavily guarded.
their money back and gave back to them the money that they should have gotten, but they didn't get.
Mhm.
uh, in all honesty, this world would could use some real life Robin Hoods.
No, I disagree. But we could use more like Paul Rudd character.
Oh, I wouldn't mind.
Well, steals from the poor, and and the poor people aren't going to get help from because they're just going to spend it and be poor again. If Robin Hood taught them financial intelligence and learned and how to spend money, that would be different. But anyways, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Tries to work at Baskin Robbins. He gets fired because they find out, and of course, this whole time getting out of jail, his buddy's trying to get him to do another job, and he's like, "No, no, I'm not going back. No, I'm not going back." Then he realizes the only way to see his kid get money, the only way he's going to be able to get money. Um, but this was part of a whole setup that we don't know about. But Michael Douglas, Hank Pym, was actually behind everything. The whole his friends finding out about the job and everything. He was set up for everything. Probably got him fired at Baskin Robbins. He didn't take credit for that, but he's probably the one that tipped him off that he was an ex-con. Hank Pym pulled the strings the whole time, and yeah, we only find out most of it, but he doesn't even divulge all of it. But you can speculate that he's behind it all. And of course, the job is this rich guy has a vault that is kept out in the basement, and they should get
Calls it a straitjacket.
in this thing, and he can crack anything. And so he finally says he agrees. They go to the house. He gets in. He breaks through all the barriers. So it's actually not a new kind of vault, but an old one where electronics is not going to work on it. He has to go old school. But luckily, he's not just a thief that can do new stuff. He can actually think outside the box. Knows that doesn't expand and will break. He takes nitric oxide, freezes the door, sets matches down. So the where the matches came from, I guess it was down in the basement, I guess, which is convenient. But anyway, so he sets that up. He sets up a sheet cloth to catch the nails and stuff, and then he hides. And when the door finally blows open, he gets inside. Then he gets then there's a fingerprint, which is new technology, and they think they're screwed. And he's like, no, not necessarily. He goes upstairs. He finds a brush that obviously would have a fingerprint. Now it could have had his daughter's. Luckily, it
Didn't
didn't.
he use glue?
And then he used glue and tape, and he heated it up somehow. I don't know exactly what he did, but he did some MacGyver stuff, and he recreated he got the print brush and was able to put it on into the vault using this. Now we've seen this in other movies where they've done similar stuff. So he gets in the vault and there's nothing there. A
Except the suit.
with some kind of weird ass suit. He takes it anyway, just because I guess he's curious. But he's like, "There's nothing here," and they're all like, "What? What do you mean nothing?" He doesn't tell them about the suit. Then he leaves, and later back in his apartment, he decides to try on the suit. and he's checking it out. He's in the bathroom. All of a sudden, what's these buttons? And he pushes the button, and he was in the bathtub when he does this, and he shrinks to tiny. Then his friend comes in, decides that he wants to take a bath, and starts puts the bath water on. So he's being chased by water because now he's the size of an ant, and yeah, he gets flushed down the drain, and we have all kinds of adventures there. And he runs past rats that are huge, and they're chasing him. And yeah, then isn't this where he ends up? He ends up. Yeah, he. Oh yeah, then he ends up going back to the house because he wants to return the suit. Only when he returns it, he goes to leave, he gets arrested. For he's like, no, I wasn't stealing anything. I was returning what I was already stole. Oh.
Oh shit.
And he just gets arrested. And oh, I'm sorry. Hank met with him. Had basically said that he wanted him to work for him. He wanted him to steal, and he's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm not doing it. And so he goes to jail, and Hank sends him a notice with the suit, and he's like, just be ready when I tell you, and blah blah blah. And they end up taking the cameras out, and they knocked electricity out, and they he puts the suit on, and he ends up getting out of jail. And of course the ex I mean the new husband of his ex-wife is the one that had arrested him, and he's like, stop, like he's done. He doesn't know what. And he of course ends up getting a flying ant, which he ends up passing out, which I don't blame him. I don't know how he ended up staying on the thing, but luckily on it, but he wakes up in a bed with strange clothes on, and then and some hot strange woman is talking to him. This of course is Hope, Hank Pym's daughter, but he has no idea who she is, and he asks a few times and she doesn't answer. She's very off-putting. She doesn't like him at all. She doesn't admit she doesn't. She acts like she doesn't like him, and she won't even answer any of his questions. She just walks away. And then of course he goes to get out, and there's all kinds of ants all over the floor. He realizes that they will move when he walks. Now, if that was me, I'd still be in that bed saying, "Move these damn ants! I ain't moving." No way would I walk to those ants.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way I would have done that, but he does.
Also, those ants were important to them. What guarantee did she have that he wouldn't just walk over them?
Because they moved every time he went to step. They would have moved if he had walked fast. I want to walk
That
fast.
part of the ants kind of freaked me out, but
They would have been him.
later they don't freak me out as much.
I mean, I had an issue with ants, but that many ants, and they weren't ready. I know red ants are bad. Fire ants are bad, but I don't really know. Like until I saw this movie, I didn't really know there's all that many different kinds of ants, and I'm like, but just the fact that there were ants and they weren't normal looking ants. So, and I guess they were bad ants that could bite the hell out of you. And
Yes.
but they knew he couldn't hurt the ants, and they were controlling them, so he knew the ants wouldn't hurt him either. He just didn't know that,
Yeah.
So I would have walked cautiously too if I would have walked, but I wouldn't have walked. So he finally gets in the kitchen, and then he explains that the lady is Hope, his daughter, and Hank explains everything, and then he's like, I want to offer you a job. Like, absolutely, I'll do anything. My days of stealing and robbing, my stealing and my stealing shit is done, and blah blah. I forget exactly words he said, and he's like, "What do you want me to do?" He's like, I want you to
Steal some shit.
I want you to burglar and steal some shit." Burglar, that's what he used, because he's not a robber. Because robbery involves having a gun. He steals, and they call him a pussy for that. But yeah, like confrontation, and he doesn't like guns. He's a burglar, he's a cat burglar, not a robber. And I think there's a distinction between the two. A cat, you know, I really like Catwoman as well. But anyways,
Oh, I like Catwoman.
yes. So Ant-Man is like that. So he decides that okay, he's going to do this, and they show him what he needs to steal. That he needs to steal basically the Killer Bee suit, Ant-Man suit. Only it has all kinds of weapons and it's completely weaponized, and he's trying to sell it to foreign governments and stuff. And even if he never wanted our government to have that control, never mind foreign governments, and so he wants to steal it and blow up the entire building. Um, now, uh, so they come up with a plan. Now he has to train, and he goes through all kinds of training, how to fight Hope because she's awesome martial arts, and of course she doesn't like him. She doesn't go easy on him. She kicks his ass a lot. Um, and I love how when she tries him in the face and knocks him down, it's like, "Were you aiming for my face?" And I'm thinking, if she wasn't, she wouldn't have hit your face. Like, she's obviously doing, and she could have not hit his face. She doesn't like him, so she hit his purpose. She's jealous because she wants to do the job, and her father won't let her. She doesn't realize until he says why her father won't let her. She just thinks that her father's being an asshole, but he's trying to keep her safe. She just doesn't being because a lot of times we don't think of that. We think about parents just being jerks, but won't let us do things that we want to do because they're being jerks. But no, there are parents and they're trying to protect us. And even though she's not a little girl, he still knows how dangerous it is. And like Scott said, he's expendable. Hank
Um,
want him to die, but if he has to die and not his daughter, he'd rather to die. And Paul Rudd's character was fine with that. He was fine with being the expendable one. Because he understands because he has the daughter. He would do the same thing. He would find someone that was more expendable than his daughter. That's why when his daughter, I want to be your teammate when I get older, he's like basically said he wants to work with Hope. That was partly because he doesn't want to work with Hope, and partly because he doesn't want his daughter doing it. He can play doing it with his daughter, but for real, he's doing it. And so understandable being you guys aren't parents, but I'm sure you can understand where it's coming from. So anyway, he trains throughout the movie. We have like a little montage stuff. He finally gets good. He ends up knocking her down. He thinks he's good. Then she tricks him and puts him in and almost chokes him out. And she's a badass. I'm sure she probably could have done the job, but yeah, we wouldn't have had that. We would have movie would have had Ant Woman, and everyone would have been pissed that they changed the character. Luckily, they didn't do that. So, anyways, and plus she's perfect as the Wasp. So, anyways, we end up getting to the scene where he goes in, he blows up the building. I'm skipping a lot here. Like I said, there's 3 movies to get through. They blow up the building. He ends up chasing down the guy with the who gets away with the Killer Bee suit. The old student of Hank Pym's. He's the bad guy.
Yes, protege.
He ends up realizing that who Ant-Man is. It's Scott, and he has a daughter. So he decides he's going to go kidnap. He's going to go kidnap the kid, and he doesn't go anywhere, but he holds her hostage, and until Ant-Man shows up, because Ant-Man's going to show up, and they end up having a battle in the kid's room, and they blow up a giant Tommy the Train toy and
Yeah.
and giant ducks and
that train was a big sprout.
Oh yeah.
awesome fight between the two. Eventually, Ant-Man shoots him and gets him basically shoots him shrinks him into the quantum realm. We don't know exactly what happened to him. He just kind of disappears. We end up finding out later in the third movie what happened to him. But that's beside the point. So he's gone. He's no longer a threat. Now, of course, his daughter knows his secret identity, and she's thrilled. And and Ant got hit and got made giant, and somehow she ends up keeping the ant as a pet, like a dog. I'm sure eventually the mother and stepfather found the ant, and I don't know why they let her keep it, but yeah, we see her feeding the ant under the table like a dog. I thought that was cute, but I don't know how her let her keep that ant. It's very you can't have an ant as a pet. In my opinion, I thought it was cute for the, but in reality, no. That would creep me.
Yeah.
I've seen too many horror movies with giant ants. So, anyways, now let's go. Anyone want to say anything about the first movie before we move on to the second?
Well, I think this was a good first installment. You get to learn about his friends who are in the security unit, and I love that van that they had.
Yeah, and that got screwed at the end when they did that because he's like, I know that van.
It's the Cheech and Chong van, you know. But in anyways, the characters of his security office, or if I know that they become security officers eventually, but they were his fellow burglars,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
What's better for security is people that know how to break into things. I mean, they've done that in all kinds of movies too. I mean, it's perfect. You know, that's a perfect job for somebody like that. I mean, of course, they might find out you're an ex-con and think that, oh, well, you might try to steal something. But you know, it's all about forgiveness. I mean, yeah, people make mistakes, but you know, it's sometimes you got to forgive that. They made it. I just want to say that.
I thought it was a good introduction to the Ant-Man, how to explain his origin story to the modern world for people to like him or whatnot. And it was a good, uh, villain to have for this kind of thing. And that's when it introduced us to the quantum realm, a little bit, a bit as we go on forwards.
I forgot to mention this important. The original Wasp was Hope's mother, Hank Pym's wife, and she actually had to shrink herself down to the point of no return, and got trapped in the quantum realm. Now Hank thought she died, and she ends up finding out. Oh, okay. This is the second movie. I think they find out. But
Well, actually, no. There is an extra video where in the end, as Marvel often does, they do two videos
okay.
often.
For reason they didn't have that on the Disney Plus version, and I couldn't watch my DVD version, so I thought there was, and I don't know why there wasn't an end scene, but there wasn't. So I thought there should have been an end scene because scene. So okay.
In fact, I think one of the videos was they had actually created a quantum tunnel, or was this in the second end credits? But anyways, there was one where they actually created a van that had a quantum tunnel and ended up sending him into the quantum realm, doing it that way. But I don't think his wife was in that one. But they were still trying to figure out how to bring her mother back. So
okay, are you done?
Yep.
Okay, Boris. Any
Uh, Well, actually, one thing I maybe forgot to mention was I did kind of find the villain of the first movie interesting. At the beginning, he was quite impacting when he took advantage of his technology still not working properly, like when he tried to shrink some living being, he killed it because it wasn't working properly,
I
and then
believe it
he
was a
just
little lamb.
yeah, yeah. And then I was quite kind of shocked when he used that to kill some guy who was reproaching him for what he was doing. That was kind of badass in a way, although when you take it all into account, of course, he
At
was
least
bad when he was a villain, but he was an interesting one in the first movie, at least.
he was a real villain that you never felt sorry for him. You never had a reason to feel sorry for him. He
No,
was
no, no. I just said he was interesting, but no, I didn't feel sorry for him.
a true villain. He was a true villain that you don't need to feel sorry for. He was a true villain. You know,
No, I wasn't even talking about feeling sorry for him.
I am. That was me who said that. Because we're gonna talk about the villain in the second movie that we do feel sorry for, in my opinion.
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah.
You don't. That's good. That's a good thing. Okay. Wonder Woman 2, we're talking to you. They totally screwed up Wonder Woman. We won't talk about that because that's a different movie. Um, Eventually we might do those movies. Uh, anyways, as far as with Ant Man goes, Tammy, I'm sorry, Tammy, did you have anything you wanted to say about the movie? Anything else you wanted to say?
Um, I enjoyed it. I liked the spit out part with the train, and I like the big
Oh,
I like the big ants.
The what?
The big
Um,
ants.
when I was watching them, but yeah, you're right, there was.
the spin-offs were by all means amazing.
I actually watch these movies without doing it. I usually multitask and watch movies while I'm doing other things. Actually, I just sat and watched the movies. All three of them back. Um, Late too. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning when I started.
Well, we watched one and a half of them, and then we finished. Then when we figured out we were going to have the other one, we finished the one that we didn't finish and watched that
Yeah,
one.
I do three, but I was just like, I'm just gonna watch all three. Um, and I didn't know we were gonna talk about all three. I was just saying, hell, I was gonna watch all three, and I think it's great that everyone decided to do the same thing. Even though we had to postpone.
Well, it kind of helped that we had to push it a week further because then we could actually watch the second one or have time to watch it.
I mean,
Yeah, it
that,
turned out
that
okay.
Everything turned out when because we
but
kind of had this
as
other thing going on, and in a way, it kind of helped to make everything turn out.
yeah, and I myself is I love the second movie. It was really great. Not that I don't love the third one, but I'd have to say the first one is still probably my favorite. Now I am not one to always love the first one. Matter of fact, I tend to like sequels more depending on the movies. Um, but in this case, I love the first one the best, and very close second is the second one. So I pretty much go in order.
Confused. Which one's actually the second one?
And
Ant-Man and the Wasp woman,
That's the
which is
second
the
one.
one with Eva, who uh, her family was killed, and she was quantum phasing.
and she was
Okay, so that's the one that the last one that we or whatever. Okay,
Well, that's the first one that we watched before we watched the second half of the third one.
okay.
that was confusing.
Well, personally, I thought of Ava as a morally gray character, maybe not so much of a villain as some
Exactly.
other one. What?
Exactly. Exactly. Which I don't like so much. I mean, they need to have a villain that's a villain, and then they have a villain that maybe is not a villain.
I
Like,
think the villain that was the villain was the cops at this point in time, to be honest. Or actually, the guy that had the goons.
oh
That
yeah,
was
I guess
that was the villain.
they were villains, but they were more of idiots than you couldn't really take them seriously because they're idiots.
But they're comical idiots. So
They
it
were
got,
comical, don't get me wrong, but they weren't like, oh my gosh, they're going to destroy the world or they're going to kill people or anything. Like we felt with the Killer Bee, like he was a villain. He could have destroyed shit. He was a bad guy. He tried to hurt his daughter. Like he was a bad guy, you know? We felt like he was a bad guy. You know, we felt like he was a threat. We didn't really feel like those idiots were a threat. They were just comical relief. They were the Keystone Cops, basically. If you ever seen those old TV shows, that old TV show.
yeah, those were the Keystone cops, and for a moment there, I thought they were that Paul Rudd's character and the main cop were having a gay moment because he was like, "Wait, I thought you were inviting me to dinner."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Rudd didn't have the gay part. He's like, no, why would I? He's like, no, why would you? He's like, oh, unless you want to get lunch or something. And he was like looking at him like, oh, you know. So I think that was like a gay moment on the FBI on the cops part, but not Paul Rudd's because he's
yeah, like maybe.
so they added in a little bit of gayness to it, but without shoving it down our throat, which is good because I hate it when things get shoved down our throat. So they did a good job of having it in there without shoving it down our throats.
Yeah.
I don't mind when this stuff is in there. You know, it's just when it's obviously shoved down our throats, you know, like making Sulu gay in Star Trek. His character is not gay. The actor's gay, but his character's not. So
exactly,
that just puts everybody off.
Personally, I don't mind a character being gay if it
As long
works
as you're
well
not,
for the
as
story.
long as it makes sense. As long as you're not doing it just to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. There's a tactful way of doing things, and there's a non-tactful way of doing things, and that's all there is to it. Anyway, so I think they did a good job with this. Had a little funny moment between them where he was kind of acting a little bit of gayish, but but it was just funny. You know, it wasn't upsetting to anyone as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think there's any. Not to speak for any gay people, but I'm sure they weren't offended. So yeah.
For example, as you all know by now, I'm a writer, and at one point in my novel series, a character a gay character appears, but the fact that he is gay actually makes some impact on the plot. He's not gay just to have a gay character, but it actually impacts the plot. Him being what he is.
I bet I know how it affects the plot.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said I bet I know how it affects the plot.
Yes, how?
Well, the main character is a temptress, is a hot, sexy woman. Well, if the guy is gay, obviously she can't tempt him because she's not a guy. She doesn't have the right equipment.
No.
Anyways, let's talk about that another time.
Let's not go down that road.
Okay, don't get me wrong. I do see why you would come up with that idea, but you weren't reading the whole story, so.
Oh, I didn't read it, so I was just guessing. Okay, so let's go on to the second movie. No offense, but okay. So we have pretty much the same cast in the second movie, with the addition of Michelle Pfeiffer as the mother. And again, I did not realize it was Michelle Pfeiffer. I can't believe I didn't realize it was Michelle Pfeiffer, but I
Well,
did.
Paul's character now is under house arrest.
Yes, and to tell Boris and anybody else that has not seen the Marvel Universe why he's under house arrest is because in Captain America 3 Civil War, he ends up helping Captain America to fight against the other half of the Avengers, Tony Stark's half of the Avengers. And there was a huge battle between the two. Spider-Man was on the, I would say, the wrong side, because in my opinion, Iron Man was on the wrong side and Captain America was the right side. And this is my opinion. And so it was upsetting. In the comics, Spider-Man started out on the wrong side, but he realized it and switched sides. They did not do that in the movie. But it was still a great fight. It was really great that was Spider-Man fighting, even though he was on the wrong side. But Ant-Man was on Captain America's side, and basically everyone that was involved in that, who they could was arrested. I think Ant-Man was the only one they actually caught because the rest of the people got away. Scarlet Witch got away, Captain America got away, Black Widow got away, and they were all being chased by governments, even though they weren't even in this country anymore. And that was a whole other movies and TV shows. And the universe is huge, and I love it. I love the fact that they're integrated, but watching these movies as standalone, it's difficult because they could put in a little blurb into the movie, like in previous things, this is what happened real quick. He got arrested because of this and blah, blah, blah. To let people who didn't see those movies know what happened, but they didn't. Because Marvel wants you to watch all the movies because they want to make money. And yeah, and I blame, they should have put a little, like they used to do in the comics, previously on blah, blah, blah. Like just a little quick little blurb in the movie, let you know what happened so you understand what's going on. Okay. But that's why you have people like us who come make these movie podcasts, and we're nerds and we've seen them all. We can explain to you what's going. Okay, maybe not all because I haven't seen Black Panther 2 or Marvel yet, but they were after this, so they don't factor in.
Yeah, like even in the first Ant-Man movie, there were some implications that Ant-Man was not on good terms with Tony Stark, and I was left wondering why, if they are all supposed
Well,
to
actually,
be
that had
heroes.
nothing to do with the MCU. Actually, he explained that he didn't like Tony Stark's father. So he was blaming the son for the father. Basically, he didn't want anything to do with Tony because he figured Tony was just like his father.
Oh.
So, yeah, and that's kind of wrong to assume that the son is like the father because I don't think they are alike at all. Now, that being said, Tony Stark can be wrong because, like, I think he was wrong when that whole thing against Captain America, and even he saw that he was wrong in the end. But yeah, you know, I mean, Captain America: Civil War. It was a tragedy that it happened. Scarlet Witch killed a bunch of people accidentally, trying to save Captain America, and she did save him, but she killed a bunch of people doing it. And she didn't do this on purpose, but she did, and that's why the whole thing came out with the Accords, where they have to. Superhuman people need to register so the government can know who they are. And some people agreed with this and some didn't, and that's why the whole Civil War happened. And this was an awesome storyline in the comics, and I actually read this storyline, and I loved it in the comics as well. When I found out they were doing it live action, I was like, wow, this is gonna be awesome. Of course, they did it different, as they always do, but I think they did a great job. But yeah, it was definitely it's a great watch, and like most MCU, you kind of gotta watch other ones to know what's going on, but you can watch that and still enjoy it as a standalone. But anyways, back to this movie, we find out that Hope's mother is not dead and that she's in the quantum realm,
Yep.
and he actually Scott is actually having a dream of the mother, and he calls up. He calls them. Okay, now I guess when he stole the Ant-Man suit, because it wasn't his, he was using it, but it wasn't his. He used it to um, help Captain America, and I guess he was away with Hope because they were a thing. And instead of asking her to go, he just ups and leaves, which pisses her off. And then she gets, because Hank invents the suit, he gets in trouble, and the cops want him. And I guess Hope isn't there, so she's like part of it, so they want to arrest them too. So now they're on the run. Their name's bad. Their house is gone. Like everything, their whole life is gone because now they're on the run. So they're pissed off with Scott, which you can't really blame them. I mean, again, he was helping Captain America, but you can look on the other side of why they would be upset. You know, so they're upset with Scott, and they're on the outs. So he ends up seeing the dream. So he calls them anyways, not knowing if they're going to get the message or not. Of course they do, and of course they end up getting him picked up, and they basically kidnap him into a van, where they shrink the van, and now we're having everything's getting shrunk. I mean, now they have an entire building lab where they have that they carry around with them, and
I
then
think
they
that's
pop
so
up into a
cool.
building.
That whole
Um,
building, and then it's got, the thing like a suitcase does, so they can just wheel the damn building wherever they want, and then make it bigger or make it smaller. I thought that was so fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
Well,
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And
I
this
wish
would
I
be a
could go
big
find.
plot.
I wish I could go find the house that I like or whatever, shrink it, and then take it wherever I want. And then, okay, there's my house.
Yep. And the great thing, I love how he was like, "Can I just wait inside? I'm not supposed to be out here." And like the second he goes to step back inside, they shrink it, and he just like steps back, like, "What the fuck?" Like I mean, he didn't say what the fuck, but you know that was his reaction. He'd never seen an entire building like that get shrunk, um, and it
I
was
do like
incredible. Of
that
course,
we mentioned in the other one the cars. That'd be
yeah.
so cool. Pick out your whichever hot rod, man. Okay.
Yeah, I love that, and that was in the second movie as well. So we get hot box cars get turned into real cars, and vice versa. And we have the building that keeps being stolen by by Ghost, who's trying to use it to basically survive and reverse what's happened to her. That she blames Hank Pym, but it really wasn't his fault. And we also we got these villains that aren't really villains. They're a joke. They're trying to steal it too because they want to sell it for a lot of money. And then of course we have the owners of it trying to get it, and then we have Scott is Ant-Man trying to help, and his
I
buddies
don't
trying to
know why
help
the
get it.
villains are trying to steal it, because you know what? If they steal it at that size, what are they going to do with it? They didn't have, you
Well,
know.
they need to steal it, and they need to steal the remote, which is
Oh,
what
that's right. They need the remote. That's
they
right.
needed the remote when they did steal it, but they realized they didn't have the remote. So yeah, but that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So let's tell a little bit what happened. Basically, yeah, the whole movie is pretty much a chase movie. The cops are chasing um, Hank, and they don't really know Scott's involved, but he's not supposed to leave the house, and they kind of think that he's being involved, but they never actually catch him in
That
the
is
end.
so cool how they don't
Um,
get no.
they almost catch him a few times, but luckily with the help of his friends and the help of the ants and everything, they never catch him. He finally does get released, and he gets to see his daughter, and he gets to play with her and everything. And even his ex-wife and the cop hug him and everything. They're so happy that he did it. And yeah, he's done everything right. And although at the end he did technically leave the house, but he did it for a good cause. So and he didn't get in trouble. So that's the bottom line. Detective Wu didn't catch him. And yeah, I mean, we have some great scenes in the movie where the friend grabs a hot rod and turns it into a big car, and he's getting chased, and then he ends up shrinking it and then making it big. And we have a lot of spirals here where they go under another vehicle, and then all of a sudden make themselves big, and the vehicle goes flying.
Well, and they took
Um,
them. You could tell that they're in L.A. Because they took. They
and
basically
actually, they
took them down
weren't in LA.
that
You could tell
twisted
they were in
ass
San
road.
Francisco with all
Yeah.
those hills. There's nobody has hills like San Francisco. So I don't know where you
Well,
got LA from, but that was San Francisco.
anytime you see anything about San Francisco, you see that twisted ass road. In
Yeah, the
movies, they
hills.
love to show that one. I've
Yes,
been
those hills.
I've been there down that road. You basically have to go one car at a time down and one car at a time up. You know.
I have never been there, and I never want to.
Well, I have been there, and it was interesting. So,
I like seeing it in movies. I'm all set being there in real life.
well,
I used to drive on these called the Seven Hills in Fall River,
well,
and
there's
these hills were horrible, but they're not as bad as that hill.
I believe that there's a trolley that you can take down the hill.
A trolley?
A trolley.
Yes.
Trolley.
I know how to spell it. You were just
But,
pronouncing it wrong.
I think you can pretty much take a trolley down it, and it's pretty cool.
You can.
So it's.
I still wouldn't. It's a fucking roller coaster, okay? It's a real life roller coaster.
What,
good.
You don't like roller coasters?
I do not. I'm definitely afraid of heights.
Ugh.
And I know fear only lasts for a few seconds, but not when it comes to heights, because that shit just keeps going.
Well, I'm afraid of heights, but roller coasters I used to love going on.
Then you're not really truly afraid of heights, and I have a good reason.
I am afraid of heights when I'm up there in the fucking air. You will not find me jumping down at any given point time.
That's jumping down. I am truly afraid of heights. And I don't care if I went upstairs. If the stairs are outside the building, I'm afraid of heights.
Well, in any case,
I stand on a porch on the second floor and look down. I'm afraid of heights. I am truly afraid of heights.
But not that bad.
I am, and I have a good reason for it. But again, let's go back to the movie. We have some great scenes. We have awesome chase scenes. Like I said, the whole movie is basically chase scenes. Now, Ghost is the big villain, and like I said, you feel bad for her, so she's not a true villain because you understand why she's stealing and why she even thinks about kidnapping the kid. And luckily, the other guy that's helping her is like, no, I will not be a party to that, and she finds a way around it. So she's not a bad guy, and but she just wants to live, And of course, she's in so much pain that she can't even think straight. I know. I'm sure she wouldn't honestly want to hurt. She wouldn't have hurt the kid, but she was just in so much pain, and she wanted to stop. She was just thinking anything she could of, and you can think of her as a bad guy, but I don't because she does bad. But there's a reason behind it, and there's a strong reason behind it.
She's crying and in a lot of pain, and that.
Yeah, you can't imagine what she's going through if you're not in her shoes.
Paranoid.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so we end up having, of course, now she knows that she might destroy Janet in the process of saving herself, and she doesn't care. And of course, Hank doesn't want to let her do that. Well, she ends up getting thwarted. Hank goes in and saves Janet, pulls her out, and I guess Janet had got some kind of powers while she was in the quantum zone. They never really explain how she gets them, but she ends up touching Ghost, and she makes her normal again. She cures her, and So we end up having. Then I guess I don't know. She never really gets arrested or anything, and we don't really end up know what happened to the character after that. Now I'm pretty sure the character is a villain in the comics, so they thought to finish her for this movie made her kind of good, and which is annoying, but it worked okay for this. I don't know because I never read the comics, so I don't have any. I can't complain because I never read it, so I don't really know. But there's probably people out there that know the comics that probably um, get upset the way they did that because they made Cheetah turn good in Wonder Woman, and that's just a no. That is one of Wonder Woman's greatest villains. Greatest. That's like turning the Joker bad for good for Batman. You just don't do that. But anyways, enough of DC. I just had to mention that. Yeah, I kind of skipped over a lot in the film because, like I said, I don't want to make this 3 hours long.
Well, I did want to
you want to
mention.
say, Dave?
I did want to mention the moment where Janet actually takes over Paul Rudd's character, and I keep saying Paul Rudd's character because I don't remember.
Scott.
I couldn't remember either. The first time I remember was Scott.
Scott
Lang.
Scott's character, and that is a great moment where he basically turns into Janet. And
yeah, it's kind of like a ghost taking
yeah.
possessing someone. Only she's not a ghost. Yeah, that was definitely a cool thing that they did. And of course, like a ghost, he had no recollection of what happened. Like he was just like, "Why am I up here?" And then he looks down and he's holding hands with Hank, and he's just like, another kind of gayish moment. That was perfect.
Either way.
That was perfectly done. Because he just looked like, why are we holding hands? And of course, we understand as the audience because he was the wife for a moment. Luckily they didn't kiss, but they've done that in other things.
Evidently, he called Janet called her daughter Jelly Bean.
Yeah,
which we saw in that dream too.
Yeah, so. She's like, Mom. Yeah.
Hey, Jelly Bean.
And they realized that it wasn't just a dream too, because he described the wardrobe where Hope used to hide as a kid. Now, I think it's funny when he said, no, it wasn't a real wardrobe. It was this small bureau that you opened up. You go, that's a wardrobe. It's kind of funny that he didn't know what a wardrobe was. Because a lot of people nowadays don't know what a wardrobe is either. Unless you've read Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, you don't know what a wardrobe is.
Another couple of funny moments I wanted to bring up is when the one dude was going to give them the truth serum, and they were making
he kept saying it was the truth serum.
And then later, when the truth serum was given to the crooks,
yeah, he's like, it is truth serum.
They were saying all kinds of things,
Yeah, and he finally admitted it is truth serum. That was funny. I mean, like I said, those villains were funny, but they weren't villains. So they never really had real villains in the second movie, which I liked it, but it was lacking a real villain.
Interesting.
I mean, the cops were kind of villains. The CIA, the people that were keeping him house arrest were kind of villains. So there was a lot of kind of villains, but there was no any straight up villains like in the first movie.
True.
I did like the whole playground that he set up in his whole house for his daughter.
I love that too. Yeah, that was very imaginative, and he's like, you try to entertain she was 8 at the time, 8-year-old from your house, and it's true, and he did such an incredible job. But luckily, it never gets mentioned how much of a genius he is, because Hank Pym, Scott Lang is a genius as well. It isn't just Hank Pym that's the genius. Scott's a genius with computers. Scott's a genius with burglary. Scott's a genius with building things. Scott is the whole reason that we get half the world back, and we stopped Thanos in the second in the second movie. He saved the day. If it wasn't for Ant-Man, they never would have saved the day. You know, he figures it out and goes to Tony Stark to build what they need, and you know, and of course he gets Bruce Banner to help him because these are all geniuses as far as people in the world. In the comics, they were all part of a group of geniuses where Professor X was also part of that group as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I can't think of the name of the group at the top of my head, but yeah. This is the same group that decided to send Bruce Banner into space because the Incredible Hulk was such a threat
Wasn't
to
it
the
League
United
of
States.
Superheroes or some shit
No,
like
nope, nope,
Are you thinking about X-Men?
Whoa.
no. X-Men
No.
and Marvel are all part of the same thing in the
Uh,
comics. They
Yep.
they interchanged a lot in the comics.
Yep.
They're not
oh,
in the movies because X-Men was owned by Fox. Now that Disney bought Fox, we can actually see X-Men in the Marvel Universe, which you already have. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but the X-Men have already been in one of the Marvel movies.
uh, Actually, I somehow thought that X-Men had always been connected to Marvel because when I was a teenager,
And when you were a teenager, that was the comics. And the movies, they're not related. Because the
Yeah.
movies, it's the same thing with Spider-Man. Only instead
Ah,
of Sony,
Yeah.
oh,
it was the X-Men.
It
X-Men got
depends on
bought.
who owns the
X-Men
rights.
and the Fantastic Four got bought by Fox. Fox is all now owned by Disney except for Fox News, Fox Sports. Fox Sports is still Fox. Everything else by Fox, the movies and everything else is owned by Disney.
makes
Now,
sense.
but they weren't before. Yes, it's annoying, but Marvel is
See,
broke.
and originally Fantastic Four,
Marvel was broke and they had to
and
sell the
originally
rights to movies.
Fantastic Four was bought by Roger Corman, and before it went to Fox. So
Well, I don't know about that. I just know that Fox owned it last, and now it's back in the hands of Marvel because Disney owns it. Now, Disney has done an amazing job with most of Marvel. We won't
But
talk about some of the
in any
newer stuff
case,
that they've done this year, but yeah, they've definitely done a way better job with Marvel than they did with Star Wars. But we won't open that can of worms. Okay, now, Tammy, you have anything to say about the second movie?
I don't know. I kind of been throwing stuff in as we've been talking. So
Any funny scenes that you loved, or I mean, I know you like the cars, but
I like when we were talking about like the car is little and then it's big and boom, then and knocks them flying.
Spadao!
Yeah.
Oh no!
yeah, that's when they're in the van and they go underneath the one car.
Not just the van, the sports car.
Oh,
All
yeah, when
You don't
she
do that with the sports car.
when she goes
did once.
slow with the car and gets under this other car and then gets back to the real size and sends this other car flying. That was an
I like
amazing
I
kudo.
like when Janet was kind of like possessed Tank, that whole thing,
With
and there were nobody
with
realized.
Scott.
Scott, I mean, and then
Mm.
it took him a moment to realize it, and then when he comes back, like they're holding hands and looking at each other like what.
Well, Hank knew I was holding hands because it had been the wife, but Scott had no idea that he was being controlled by her.
And
he probably wouldn't have liked it.
I love the building being able to go big and then little. It's just cool.
Yeah. Now, Philip, did you have anything to say about the second movie?
To me, the second movie is the freshest in the memory because we had a bit of a mess organizing this discussion last week. It was supposed to be the first and the third movie, but then Dave got sick, so we postponed it. And
Not just me, Tammy got sick too. So.
oh yeah, I apologize.
Well, that doesn't really matter. What was your opinions of the movie?
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's the one I saw most recently. I watched the third one before, and now the second one. So
doesn't he remind you of the friend? Tell the story. Skip all the unimportant parts and just tell the story.
Yeah. Well, I really liked the character of Ava. She is okay. Maybe it would be an overstatement that she was my favorite, but she was definitely one of the most compelling characters in this movie. Also, I liked how Evangeline Lilly looked here. As I said before, she looked better than in the first or in the third movie. Of course, I liked the Spoodaus. What else? Oh yeah, the whole thing how they kept shrinking and enlarging things, like they suddenly shrink the whole lab and carry it around like a suitcase. That was funny. Then what else?
Well, there is a part in the end where they finally gotten Janet back, and he takes the house, places it on the beach, and resizes it to like the full size. I don't know whether that happens in year.
Yeah, that's the end of the second movie.
Okay, yeah. So.
Well, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Here
find
too.
a house like that. Find where I want to put it. Go pink.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And of course, the movie could have ended there, and we wouldn't even need to have another Ant-Man movie. I'm glad we did, but it did end like, and they lived happily ever after kind of thing. So it was a good ending. It definitely had an ending. But I'm gonna say that I'm gonna mention something that none of you guys mentioned at all that I thought was absolutely awesome when he went giant and he was chasing the bad guy, and the bad guy on who had the house, the building, and he grabs he jumped on a ferry, and he grabs, he's like, excuse me guys, I just need him. He grabs him, and he grabs the house or the lab, I should say, and then of course he tries to make it back to land, and he can't. He ends up passing out, and then we have Janet, who comes, jumps in and saves his life, shrinks him and brings him back out, and he ends up. No, she didn't shrink him, but she ends up saving him.
Yeah, she shrank
him. She does shrink him.
Well, she shrinks him, but then he ends up being big again.
Well, no,
he passes out. He passes out, and that's when the bad guy or the cops are coming to catch him, and somehow he escapes them again. But I absolutely love that scene.
I liked how he used that truck is like a scooter when he was big.
Yeah.
Remember, he had his knee on the back of that truck, and he was using it.
Oh, when he was skateboarding.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was great too. When he was using the truck like a skateboard. It was definitely a lot of great scenes in that movie. Like the whole thing was basically a chase scene. I like chase movies. I love the Fast and Furious. So this kind of reminded me of the Fast and Furious in some ways. It was a chase movie, but it was done really well, Marvel style, and it was a lot of action, a lot of martial art fighting action, but a lot of chasing action as well. And everybody was chasing everybody, and it was just kind of it was funny, but it was serious too. And Yeah, it was just all around great movie. That being said, I still love the first one better, but this one was definitely a great movie. A great second into the series. This brings us to the third movie, which I'm going to sum up in one word: weird.
Almost H.P. Lovecraftian because of the way the world.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of,
realm.
it was like part H.P. Lovecraft, it was part Avatar, it was part whatever. I mean, it definitely felt a lot like Avatar in a way. I mean, I knew they were going to go to the quantum realm, but I didn't know the quantum realm was going to be like that. It was just so different than what I expected. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really have too much expectation, but it's
I'm
definitely way
going to have
different
to
than I
say
expected.
right now, my favorite character was that blob that they had to drink the blood from.
The guy, the blob that didn't have any holes until the
I've
end.
got holes.
I
I've
got
got holes.
Oh yeah. Oh my.
I didn't know he could do that.
Right.
Yeah, he became holy.
Yeah, that was funny.
But
Sorry. Immediately, Ellie, whenever I think of this movie, I now think of that dude. I've got holes. I've got holes.
and just like in Wonder Woman, and just like in the second movie, now okay, they did have an alternate villain, but they went and turned friggin' MODOK into a someone who got redeemed. Okay, the whole thing where he was the other guy from the first movie and he became MODOK is stupid. Okay, MODOK is a huge character in the Marvel universe, in Marvel, in X-Men. He's in charge of a intergalactic TV show where he's gotten so many heroes trapped in the TV show many times, and it's great storylines, and they just he looked great as MODOK. He looked like MODOK, except when he took the mask off and he was the other dude. And the fact that they made him turn good at the end was stupid. They shouldn't have done MODOK. They should have had him turn
He
good.
wasn't good though.
He turned good at the end. He saved the day at the end.
Yeah, actually, that part left me kind of confused.
They
Like
did the
only
same thing
because,
Wonder Woman did, and Wonder Woman blew chunks. The
only
second Wonder Woman blew
because,
chunks because of that.
like, as far as I remember, all that happened was Casey telling him, "You're a dick. Don't be a dick," and that suddenly
Yeah, and he
changed
decided not.
his
He goes, "I'm not a dick," and he saves the day. But
mind.
MODOK would
That
never have
was
done that. That was not MODOK.
well,
MODOK is a character I know well. I've read him in comics. I've seen him in games. I've seen him in cartoons. I know the character very well. He
yeah.
looks good. They did a great job the way he looked. But they PC'd him again. They did that whole, oh, we gotta turn villain into a good thing, and it's stupid. They gotta stop doing that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
even
I was thinking of the main villain.
The main villain was great. I have no complaints about him. The end credit scene was weird, but the whole movie was weird. So
I'd never even heard of MODOK before this. Maybe it's because I've never really been
where the fuck are you?
a reader of the comics.
You never watched the X-Men cartoon from the 90s?
actually wasn't he in Iron Man?
What? No.
Okay, wait, I got.
I guess I'll have to go back and rewatch the X-Men 2.
I thought
X-Men
MODOK was
cartoons.
like. I thought, yeah, in cartoons. I think MODOK was like
I don't know.
sidekick
I've never watched
villain
X-Men
in
cartoon.
the Iron Man animated.
I never watched it.
I watched like the first season of X-Men, and
it's all on Disney Plus. So.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't hallucinate it.
I'm not saying you did, dude. I've just never watched Iron Man, so I can't say.
I've
When you
got
said
all
Iron Man, I thought you meant the movies.
I've got all the volumes they have out of the X-Men. I just haven't.
I never liked Iron Man until I saw the movies.
You never liked the Iron Man cartoons?
Never cared for the character at all.
Ah. Well, I know that Ozzy does Iron Man.
I love the song Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a local friend of mine. A local friend of mine who is also a writer. He wrote a short story inspired by that song.
See, MODOK, the character, reminds me a little bit of like being like a baby version of Crane from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, at least for from this movie.
MODOK, look up MODOK and see what he looks like. You can see that they did a good job of how he looks. Now, as far as Iron Man, as your friend doing the story, okay, Iron Man's song is based on Iron Man, the character, but in the song he turns bad and kills all the people he once saved. Like I said, that's part of the words in the song. He's killing all the people he once saved. So it's actually about Iron Man turning bad. Okay, so they wrote that song. Black Sabbath wrote that song based on the character going bad. So your friend wrote a story based on the song that was based on the original story. Basically, he copied Iron Man, and if anyone found out, he could probably be sued and told to take it down.
I had an ex-boyfriend.
Actually, his story was only loosely inspired by that song. It doesn't.
Okay.
And I had an ex-boyfriend that would dress up like Iron Man because his friends had a band, and they were called Blizzard of Oz, and they would do Ozzy and Black Sabbath songs. So when they did Iron Man, he would dress up and walk around in this big contraption like Iron Man.
Now I don't. Now a lot of bands that are tribute bands, they get away with stuff. I don't know how legally portrays, or maybe the band's like, oh, they are. I don't know. It's tribute bands. Tribute bands seem to get away with a lot more than others.
Blizzard of Oz was actually very good. They were really good.
I love the name.
In fact, wasn't there a story with your cape?
Yeah. Okay. They did the song "Bark at the Moon," and I let the singer use my cape, and what we did is he put the cape over my boyfriend and over me, and my boyfriend came up like the wolf, and I came up like a vampire.
Cool. Where did Kroll go?
Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about the third movie? I gotta excuse myself for a minute.
Okay. The third movie is in fact, I believe, how does it begin? Oh yes.
The third movie is called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yep. It is called that, and it is also directed by Peyton. Let's see. Let me bring up the IMDb page. I like to go into what IMDb says about the film before I go into it. So
I was going to, but you were jumping ahead. You wouldn't let me get to it.
Scott Lang and Hope are dragged into the quantum realm, along with Hope's parents and Scott's daughter, Cassie. Together, they must find a way to escape. But what secret is Hope's mother hiding? And who is the mysterious Kang? So, one of the other extras in the second movie was the fact that, he had Hank had some old schematics of something that he was trying to find his wife with in the quantum realm, because he found out that she might still be alive. So he was showing the schematics to her in the end of the second movie. So they have actually built this, and I believe that they, the daughter, okay, yeah, that's how it starts out. The daughter gets caught and gets locked up for a moment.
The
If I
apple.
remember correctly, in the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Now, can you please explain the daughter? Like, who's the daughter? Hope's daughter? Like, what daughter?
The daughter is actually not Hope's daughter. The daughter is actually Scott's daughter from his previous marriage, all grown up.
Yes, we're talking about Cassie. And for those who don't know, the reason why Cassie is older is because of the whole thing with Thanos. When Scott came back from the quantum realm and stuck for 5 years, it's been 5 years that he was stuck there, and basically, all the world had gone ahead by 5 years, and the other people are gone. Like half the world is gone, and Scott doesn't even know that at this point. When he comes back, that half the world is gone. But anybody who watches the Marvel Universe knows that's what's going on.
Yeah, because I believe
Actually,
that Avengers Endgame had happened by this time. So
I somehow didn't even wonder why she was older. I thought it was just because the movie was made 5 years later.
No.
But I did wonder what happened to her mother and stepfather, since we don't see them anymore.
I don't know, because the blip. Everybody came back from the blip. They call it the blip. So I don't know where they were. They just don't film, I guess. The mother is mentioned, though. The mother is mentioned in the movie.
So Scott Lang, one thing, has become a successful mesmerist, and he's been living with Hope. Cassie, she's become kind of an activist, helping people placed by the blip, resulting in her having a strained relationship with Scott. So, while visiting Hope's parents, Hank and Janet, Cassie reveals she's been working on a device that can establish contact with the quantum realm. Learning this, Janet panics and forcefully shuts off the device, but the message is received, resulting in a portal that opens and sucks the 5 of them into the quantum realm. So, Scott and Cassie, they're found by the natives, and while Hope, Janet, and Pym explore a sprawling city to get answers. Hope, Janet, and Pym, they meet up with Lord Krylar, which is played by Bill Murray, I believe, a former ally of Janet's, who reveals that things have changed since she left, and that he is now working for Kang. The quantum realm's new leader. The 3 are forced to flee and steal Krylar's ship. The Langs, meanwhile, are told by rebel leader Jen Tora that Janet's involvement with King is indirectly responsible for his rise to power. And then the rebels soon come under attack by King's forces, led by MODOK, who is revealed to be Darren Cross, having survived his apparent death at the hands of Scott, and who previously received Cassie's message, which, to me, honestly, MODOK and the person underneath kind of look like Humpty Dumpty to me.
Well, Dave, if you actually knew the character, you would know that MODOK does look kind of like Humpty Dumpty.
But in any case,
Like
aboard
I said,
Kryler,
they did a good job.
aboard Kryler's ship, Janet confesses to Hope and Pym that she met Kang when she was previously in the quantum realm. He claimed that he and Janet both escaped from the quantum realm if she helped him rebuild the multiversal power core.
I love the scene where they're in the ship and they're talking about it, and he goes, "You with him?" He goes, "Well, a woman has needs."
After they managed to repair it, Janet saw a vision of Kang conquering and destroying entire timelines. Kang revealed he was exiled by his variants out of fear, which drove Janet to turn against him. Outmatched, Janet used her Pym particles to enlarge the power core beyond use. Kang, having regained his powers, eventually conquered the quantum realm afterward. The Langs are taken to Kang, who demands that Scott help get his power core back or else he will kill Cassie. Scott is then taken to the core's location and shrinks down. In the core, he encounters a probability storm, which causes him to split into multiple copies of himself, nearly overloading him. Which I think, to be honest, besides my favorite character being that native that has no holes, I think that this part in the probability storm is my favorite part in the whole entire movie. I love the fact that he meets like all his other selves, and then they all start like eventually working together. You know,
Actually, yeah, it was pretty interesting.
it was a phenomenal part. But okay, so Kang reneges on the deal, capturing Janet with MODOK, destroying her ship with Hank on it. After being rescued by his aunts, who rapidly evolved and became hyper intelligent after being pulled into the quantum realm, Pym helps Scott and Hope as they make their way to Kang. Cassie rescues Gentora, and they commence an uprising against Kang and his army. During the fight, Cassie convinces Cross to switch sides and fight Kang, with him eventually sacrificing his life. Janet fixes the power core as she, Pym, Hope, and Cassie jump through the portal home. Kang attacks Scott at the last minute before he can beat Scott into submission. Hope returns, and she and Scott throw Kang and Pym particles into the power core, destroying them both. Cassie reopens the portal for Scott and Hope to return home. As Scott happily resumes his life, he begins to rethink what he was told about Kang's death being the start of something terrible happening, but brushes it off. In the mid-credits scene, numerous variants of Kang, led by Immortus, commiserate Kang's death and plan their multiverse uprising. In a post-credit scene, Loki and Mobius encounter another Kang variant, Victor Timely, at the Chicago World's Fair in 1893.
Damn, I never saw that.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that was the mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
So,
How
that
is
being
it
said,
possible that you didn't see that?
because he didn't see that in his copy, and he probably didn't roll to the mid-credit scene.
Have a copy to watch. I've already explained that to you, Dave. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I did have a copy to watch of that, but I was already watching the other movies on Disney Plus, so I just figured I'd finish.
You probably just forgot that there were credit scenes.
Oh, I watched it, but there was only one end credit scene. They didn't show the second one.
Well, in any case, that is pretty much the gist of the story. But there are a few moments that are overlooked, like the whole native scene where they have, in a sense, to me, the guy with the hole without the holes that they got to drink, that kind of reminds me of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they've got to do something with a fish to understand the language. Well, it's the same difference. They got to drink something in order to understand the underground language. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it is a phenomenal movie to me. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
In which version?
Both versions. They do the same darn thing. So, but they did. The BBC did TV series back in the day.
TV series. Talk about the movies.
There is only one Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie.
Oh, Dave, you're gonna go down this route where I proved you wrong again.
There is only one.
Okay, I'll prove you.
If you want to prove me wrong, fine, but you won't. Anyways,
Well,
moving on. What do y'all think about the new characters that we have here? We have Jentora, we have her people, we have the characters that are under Kang's order. What do y'all think about all of those? Tammy, we haven't heard from you in a while.
What do I think about what?
What do you think about the new characters that we meet, like Jentora and her people, the Kang and his soldiers, and everyone else in the quantum realm?
Kang is something you don't want to mess with, man. He hits you and you go like flying across the universe if he hits you. He's very, very powerful. I mean, and it's until you see him in action, you don't see that he's gonna be that powerful, because he's not big or hulking or whatever, It's just like wow, and I like all the different creatures. Yes, like the dude that you like. I got holes. But there's a lot of other neat looking creatures and like the ships. They look really weird, They're like spongy looking and they take off,
Yeah, and you gotta control them by sticking your arms in these fucking things.
No, the other ships that the people.
Oh, yeah.
They look like they're not like a hard metal ship, They're like whatever they are.
No, in fact, they kind of look similar. Well, I don't
like a
know.
big marshmallow or something.
Right.
But I like all the new characters. I mean, it's neat that it's what they came up with for all these different looking characters it's really neat. The imagination for all of them. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
What about you, Boris? What did you think about the new characters that were in this particular film?
Well, they really did put some creativity into creating this whole quantum realm, sub-universe, and all the creatures we see there. And other specific new characters we get, like Jentora. Yeah, she was pretty cool. And Kang was also an interesting villain. Okay, not sure if we can count Modok as a new character since they handled him the way they did. But I think I already said what could be said about him.
Okay, what about you, Crow?
What about me?
What do you think about all the characters that we meet in the quantum realm?
Like I said before, Morak looked like Morak, but other than that, it was stupid what they did to him. I liked the other characters we met there. It was interesting to find out that the Kang they stopped was the good Kang, compared to the others. Is like, well, oh shit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because towards the end he said something about, "Hey, you should have just allowed me to get out because what's coming is you won't be able to handle, that type of thing,
Thank you for taking the words out of my mouth. Now, as I was trying to say, yeah, like how Kang was the better of them, and when she finds out he was risen there, she automatically assumed that he was the worst, that he was the worst of them all because of all the atrocities that were done. But he admitted, but he was not the worst of them. He was actually the best of them, or the good. The others were way worse. So yeah. And yeah, they do touch on it like, well, wait a minute, he does say that there's something worse coming. So they set it up, which Marvel is really good at setting up the next movies, whether it's another Ant-Man movie or not, and it probably won't be because it's going to be so big. It's going to be the next Avengers movie, you know.
As far as I know, there is, like I said, the Captain America movie in 2025. I don't know whether there is a Marvel movie in 2024, but I guess we have a little bit to I guess whether or not they're running out of material, I don't think that they will.
Fucking at
it. But there was a post-credit scene or whatnot about 3 of the Kang versions that are out there getting together and saying, since they found this realm, it will not take them long to figure out the multiverse and all that jazz, which kind of goes along the lines of the whole Doctor Strange multiverse thing and the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
You think so?
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's the entire thing. Everything.
Yeah. But these guys are worried and concerned enough to call every single one of the versions of Kangs out there together, and they've somewhat created an army. And you see this in an arena type thing, where and that's like the credit scene where you see them preparing for some kind of war or whatever. And in the end, it says Kang will return. So, other than that, is there anything else that anybody wants to add about this film? Did you enjoy Bill Murray showing up?
Sorry, what was his name in the movie?
Lord Kryler, I think.
Yeah, he plays the same character in Thor. Thor. The third.
The character who appeared only for a brief moment at the end.
A brief moment. He's the guy that Janet slept with.
Yeah.
Sorry, the guy who what?
That Janet slept with.
That one. Oh.
Yeah. He ends up being
well, he turned out to be kind of a dick.
The thing she said to that was like, "Hey, I've got needs just like everyone else."
Well, he was kind of Thor too.
Yeah, it's been a while since I saw Thor, so I forgot that.
I forgot that too. So which Thor was it in? Was he in?
Third Thor movie.
Okay. That would be Ragnarok.
Yes, that one. I kept in Rock World, no doubt.
That one that had Led Zeppelin throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, Tammy, Tammy's favorite band is Led Zeppelin, so she remembers that.
I remember when they were doing the
No,
when they were showing
Immigration Song, I believe it was.
Immigrant Song.
immigrant.
I remember when the movie was coming out, and every time when I saw the first couple like previews, I was like, it it caught my attention right away because they were playing the song like every time they fucking showed the movies.
Now, I guess we can say that Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy's a
Probably more reasons than just Led Zeppelin.
well, yeah, I think Chris Hemsworth was kind of a hottie at that point in time.
Chris was a hunk.
Yeah, I like Thor.
See, I told you.
Yeah. But in any case, I think that's pretty much it for all three films, except for going through any favorite scenes that we may have missed from any of the movies. So, Boris, if there was any favorite scenes that you have not mentioned of any of these three movies, feel free to let them rip.
Well, for them, I have to say that's kind of predictable from me, but yeah, I mainly enjoyed the Spoonhouse in all the three movies. But other than that, I really liked the part where they got Janet out of quantum realm and she healed Ava. That was a really cool scene. Although her comeback was kind of predictable to me since I had seen the third movie before the second one. But huh, what else? The final fight with Kang in the third movie was also really good. Uh, uh, what what else? Oh, of course, also the final fight in the first movie. We didn't mention that too much, but that was also very good. Uh,
Okay. What about you, Tammy? If there were a favorite scene or scenes from any of these movies that you haven't mentioned yet, do you have any?
There were so many. I mean, I liked I liked the imagination on the realm with all the different characters and all they all look so different and everything. And I really do like your little guy that goes, "I got holes." That was like really cute. Um,
I didn't know he could do
I
that.
like I like the I like the fight scenes in all of them because they are eh, so big and everything's
Small.
involved and it's just so much going on and everything. It's just you know I like how things keep evolving with the suits. He can be bigger, he can be smaller, he can be really small. He can shoot things. And everything. And um, and I like how the ants, I thought, I love how the ants evolved. They first were doing this, and then they evolved to this, and then when they're in the other realm, they're even more advanced. And it's just, I thought that was a neat concept with the ants.
Well, they're what exactly brought Kang down in the end too. So it's
Right. The ants, it's just as cool. I mean, how it went from him, controlling them for this, and then when Scott's small, the ants are helping him get around and everything like that. And there's so many neat concepts in all three movies. It's just like I said, I went into watching these like, oh great, here we go. I wasn't that interested, but ask David. He knows when I'm not interested in a movie, I start playing my games on my iPad, and I'll still knows I'm paying attention because I can say things or this happened or that happened or this happened, but I'm not totally engulfed in it because I'm playing with my games. I didn't pull my games out, and I watched all three of them, and he knows I didn't. So
So
I
that's
got
something, I guess.
I got into all three of them more than I thought I was going to. So
Alrighty, what about you, Crow? Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned that you would like to mention about any of these movies?
Um, really, I mean, I think they did a good job. The third movie I definitely want to watch again because there was just so much to see and happened. I mean, I've pretty much watched every Marvel movie I've seen. I've seen at least twice, just about. Um, like I said, gone through and watched the entire collection um, up until probably when this movie came out. So I will have to do so again. Um, and I will have to watch Black Panther 2 and the Marvels. I believe those are the only two that I have not seen so far. But I'm also behind on Loki's second season. I have not seen the second season of Loki yet either. Um, So I'm behind on that as well because the TV shows tie into the movies as well. All the TV shows that on Disney Plus, and I love all of them as well. Like I said, I love the interconnecting of the universe. It makes it hard if you haven't seen it all, but I still love it. But I'm a huge nerd, and I wish. Um, I wish DC could interconnect them and get it right the way Marvel did, instead of doing things that failed, and they do an awesome Aquaman and then they come up with Wonder Woman 2 and blow it. And I've heard Aquaman 2 they blew it too. I don't know. I haven't seen it myself, but it wouldn't surprise me. Um, DC is the best in animated movies. DC is the best in comics. DC has the best characters, in my opinion, but they just blow it when it comes to movies. Now, the original Superman was awesome. Now, I loved Henry Cavill's Superman movies, but the other movies, besides a couple I mentioned, they blew it. And much as I'd love to see more of Zack Snyder's universe, um, I think restarting it might be a good idea. What is done with I would actually still like to see more Zack Snyder's stuff, not Zack Snyder, what they think Zack Snyder would do, because they just fucked that up. Now, I would love for Henry Cavill to still be Superman and Gal Gadot still be Wonder Woman, and Ben Affleck still be Batman, though, because I think they were perfect versions of those characters. Unfortunately, since they're resetting it, they will not be reprising their roles. But well, I don't know if Wonder Woman or Aquaman is or not, but I know Superman is not. Um, and that kind of pissed me off because they told him to announce it to everybody that he's back as Superman, and he does, and then they change their mind, and that was fucked up. Off everybody, including Henry Cavill, because he's not the liar. He's doing what he was told. He was told he was hired back and to announce it to people, and so he does, and then they go and change the mind. That was just, and I know I mentioned DC a lot, and this is Marvel, and I don't I don't mix the two. I know the difference, but we're talking about superheroes, so I can't not talk about DC when we're talking about superheroes.
Yeah, it's difficult not to uh, be reminded of one when the other is brought up.
Yeah, I mean Marvel is starting to copy DC, which is retarded because DC's been failing. Why would you copy the ones not when you're the ones that were doing good? Like Marvel movies have been blowing away DC movies. as much as I love DC more and I love live action, Marvel's just been doing a better job.
Let's see. Christoph Beck is the person behind the first Ant-Man movie.
What do you mean behind?
He's behind he's the composer
Oh,
behind Ant-Man and Wasp and the Wasp Quantumania. He's the composer behind Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Let's see. He's the composer behind WandaVision, The Christmas Chronicles Part 2.
what part 2?
The Christmas Chronicles.
Never seen it.
Part 2.
Never
Which has Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
Oh, I've heard of that. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, it was Netflix movies. Let's see, but I'm trying to see if I know he was Ant-Man's, but is he the second? Yeah, he's the composer behind the Ant-Man and the Wasp as well. So, but not his first rodeo. He was the composer behind Hot Pursuit. Get Hard, the Frozen movies, the Hot Tub Time Machine 2, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Yeah. Let's Be Cops. He was the composer behind Muppets Most Wanted. R.I.P.D., which was better than its sequel, but its sequel wasn't bad.
The sequel hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, R.I.P.D. has a sequel.
They're making the sequel.
Of what?
R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department.
Yeah, they made one already.
And you didn't like it as good as the first one?
No.
Because I heard how they're doing way different than the first one and making it way better.
Yeah, they
I didn't know it was already out, so I was there.
Yeah, there was one called R.I.P.D. 2: Rise of the Damned. It didn't even have a theatrical, and it went straight to video. And one of the guys who was on the Law and Order stars in it, and the original people were not in it, so it was interesting, but it was. I mean, I liked it. Did I like it as good as the first one? No, but you could tell the first one and the whole R.I.P.D. department was basically ripping off the Men in Black.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
If you look at the R.I.P.D. department, it looks exactly like the MIB. Exactly. To the fucking T. That's the only thing that I have wrong with it. Other than that, I like it. You know, Kevin Bacon was a villain in the movie. Come on. So, but in any case, I don't think I really have anything else to add to any of these films. I like them all. In various ways, some of the comedy it goes through the roof. You know, I mean, there are things that I like about each of them. You know, so other than that, I don't think there's anything else to add. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to our podcast on these three films. And we did it in 2 hours and 18 minutes. Wow. I am amazed. Normally we would go for like over 3 hours on one fucking film. So
kind of true, yeah.
We did 3 in 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So let us know down in the comments what you thought of our thoughts, what you thought of these films Do you think any differently than us? Comment, please, and go out and see the movies. Don't care if you don't like the Marvel Universe. Go out and see them. They're funny. They exist. And we'd like to know your thoughts, too. And we'll definitely be back next week. Tammy, you have a film next week
Yes.
already
Wolf.
ready for us.
Wolf.
Wolf, which it stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Jack Nicholson. So
Interesting.
So no,
Oh yeah, by the way, are we not doing any Christmas movies this season?
I just said that. My movie was technically should have been last month, but everything kept getting pushed back.
well, we had a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
sickness this year, so going into January, we'll start to have a few more Christmas movies. So I hope that everyone will take the initiative and go with me on some Christmas movies.
My next movie is a Christmas movie. That's been the plan.
So, but Tammy wanted to do Wolf. So we're gonna do Wolf. Next, let's see. Actually, next Sunday is in fact Christmas, and we'll actually be up.
holy hoot, indeed.
Christmas is on a Sunday.
Which is on a
Wait,
Sunday.
wait.
Well,
Wait,
actually,
no, Christmas is Monday. 25th.
I
well,
will.
I
Well,
think
we'll have to see how things go actually with both podcasts. Christmas
If it's on a,
Christmas falls on Sunday, Monday, and we're gonna be up with his parents.
yeah.
I'm not going to be available Christmas Eve.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm not going to be available Christmas Eve either. So that because we do things with family. Christmas Eve is Sunday evening, correct?
Yes.
So I think we're going to have to not next Sunday, but the following Sunday go and start the new year with Wolf, and then
Oh, so
after that we will put forward our Christmas choices. So
Fair enough. This time I believe me or not, know what Christmas movie I'll be choosing.
I'm gonna choose.
are we doing New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Are we going to be on New Year's Eve?
What is New Year's Eve? Is that a Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday.
But we're on during the days, so yeah.
Wow. It's always 7 days later.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Because that is going to be during the day, and we normally do our festivities later that night. So.
Boris, is that okay with you?
Sorry, what exactly?
Does your country celebrate New Year's Eve?
Yes.
Okay, wasn't sure.
Can you come
will you be able to be there New Year's Eve day? Like earlier on the New Year's Eve.
Day for him, it's night for him.
On New Year's Eve, it would be it would be difficult because on that day I usually have guests. My friends come over for a party that we organize all together. They usually arrive they come to my place at 8 p.m., which is when we usually start our discussions, but I usually have to leave around 7 p.m. because some guys are coming from.
You guys, why don't we just do this? Let's take a break for the holidays. Then we don't have to sit here and figure out who can be here, who can't, what's going on. We'll just take a break till the holidays are over.
Yep.
I asked Philip.
That sounds like the best plan here, and then we'll come back refreshed with new bushy-eyed and bright ideas. So
Yeah, because we might have to do the same thing on Monday with the other group too. So
yep.
Yeah, we won't even have school for 2 weeks either.
So alrighty. Sounds like a plan.
I think so.
Okay.
we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Yep, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
We had to figure out everything anyway. So, happy Hanukkah, Merry fucking Christmas, and Happy New Year.
Happy New
Well, South Park has this song with Mr. Hanky or whatever. Hello, Mr. Shintoist. Merry fucking Christmas. God is gonna kick your ass, you infidel pagan scum. In case you haven't noticed, it's Jesus' birthday. So put down your fucking Shinto ass and fucking celebrate.
That's fake. If you
but in any case, everyone say good night and
good night.
Good night. Or should I say hoot hoot?